I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show, we have Wilson Wei, co-founder and CEO of CyberConnect. Wilson, great to have you here.
Yeah. Hey, Ashton. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Wilson, and nice to meet you all.
Likewise, thanks for being here. I would love to just dive straight in with the first question on learning a little bit more about the CyberConnect protocol, the solutions that your team have been developing for quite a while now, and then we'll dive into everything CyberConnect.
Sure. So CyberConnect, it's a decentralized social graph protocol that aim to empower developers to bootstrap their network effects and also help them build personalized, contextualized social experiences for their dApps. And for users, we'll help them to store their social graph data in a decentralized manner, ensuring data integrity and also data ownership, giving back essentially your data self-sovereignty back to you.
Okay, great. A lot to unpack there. I guess my next question is, what is a social graph?
Sure. So a couple of examples. Social graph, it's basically how you're connected with others. It's a graph-based, to describe your relationship between different parties and users. One example would be your follower on Twitter, or your friend list on Facebook, or on your contact book on your address book on your cell phone. Those are considered a social graph.
Okay, great, Wilson. And that leads me to think of the network effect, building communities in the blockchain space, and how their protocols will be stronger if they work together, right? And I'm curious on your take on how layer one protocols are designed right now, and whether they're isolated or working together, and how CyberConnect can improve that, and as you mentioned at the beginning, increase the network effect.
I think most of the layer one protocols are designed for transactions. It's a open ledger for people to make transactions and also ensure their assets right. But right now, like with other wallet connect, so here's how we take a look at it. When we see users logging into different apps using their MetaMask wallet, or just in general like Wallet Connect, it evolves into a account-based system that's based on a user account-based system. It's based on your address and your wallet, and that's a pretty different model compared to Web 2. In Web 2, you see each application, each platform, they have their own segregated account system, and there's no data interoperability. And all those data generated from users belong to the platform. But on Web3, the ethos here is a user-centric model that enable users to own all the data rights, and of course, including your asset. And all those layer one blockchain that already ensure like you could carry your ERC20 tokens and your NFTs cross platforms. And there's a whole bunch of it guarantees interoperability because of the token standard, and also it guarantees some level of composability as well. But in terms of like social graph and in general your social data, not all of your social data are suitable for storing on chain, because blockchain it's a data storage that's a scarce resource, and social graph and in general like social data require some kind of like data abundancy. That's why CyberConnect it's built on top of IPFS and Ceramic, and using this model, we are connecting users based on their address. So all the social graph data that we're recording right now, when you're writing to it, it's address A following address B, or address A, it's friend of address B. And that means the whole model, the whole standard that we're pushing, it's a blockchain agnostic. So far, we already support Ethereum blockchain. We're going to support most of the EVMs in the future. And we also support Solana as well. And Yeah, within the last 6 months, we already accumulated more than, there are more than 700,000 unique addresses or users already established at least one other connections on CyberConnect. And in total, they make 50 million plus connections. And that's a huge database. Yeah.
That's incredible. And yeah, as you explain, the differences, I feel like this is a huge advantage because currently in Web 2, you're having 1,000 accounts on 1,000 different websites, and then you have to have 1,000 passwords, and none of them speak to each other. And all of those 1,000 accounts are held by third parties that are holding your information. If they get hacked, then that information is compromised. And there's like 1,000 little holes in your personal information that could at any time be stolen. And moving to the Wallet Connect and having like one wallet that you own the information. And I think what's important is to have that black box where it's like, oh, I want to provide this information to this company specifically, but not other information. And at the same time, ensuring that your personal private information can be kept secret inside of that wallet, and your funds and your fund history and all of that. I feel like there's a ways to go before that is still ideal, but I feel like this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for privacy, it's gonna be, our probably like phase 2 or phase 3. We're gonna come up with some type of like encrypted social graph database. But right now we're focusing on the publicly accessible social graph database because I think why we pick like social graph as the first priority to ensure like data actually own like users actually will be able to own those data is because we think social graph has a huge value that people for most of the time actually ignored. Let's take influencers on YouTube or TikTok for an example. If you spend years on YouTube and created a channel with like 5 million followers, it's your social capital, and it's those data should belong to you. You should be able to own your community instead of YouTube, and that's what we're enabling. We enable them to for example, let's say all those applications integrated with CyberConnect, influencers could go to another platform and still have the 5 million followers that he built on one platform, and that's what we call enabling mobility of your social capital. And in a lot of the cases, it actually works much more than just getting some tips or subscription model. So yeah,
I think that's super important, especially now with the social media platforms. They're really on the edge of if you say the wrong thing, then your account gets deleted or blocked. And we've seen cryptocurrency channels. Yeah, exactly. Demonetized, or all of the followers you worked for are just deleted. And even people that did nothing wrong. We've seen many cryptocurrency YouTube channels just get deleted, and they didn't do anything wrong. And then of course they were like, "Oh, we're sorry. We'll give it back to you." But like to be at the mercy of some other party with your life and your income, I feel like that something needs to change there. So that's great to hear. And you mentioned about how the traction is already building on CyberConnect. I feel like this is not an easy task. I feel like this is a big project. I'm curious on how long you've been working on it and like where exactly you see yourself right now compared to where you guys want to be.
I think CyberConnect, like right now we have more than 20 projects already integrated with us, and that's how we grow our database. And we also recently launched that one in-house app called Link 3.2, which could help projects and individuals to come up with their own Web3 native mini site, to aggregate all the links and present your assets and your Web3 identity as a whole, and that's exciting as well. But in terms of like where we're at right now, I think we're at a stage when we're getting into a point where we could reach to become the largest network for the whole ecosystem. And I think right now we're basically, I believe, the largest. But in order for this network to be the absolute dominant network that provides the most utility, because we have this is saying, okay, the largest network almost always win. But in our case, it's different than Facebook, because this network belongs to the people, the user, right? So that's a whole different story. And then where we want to go to is like, if we could get to a point when we cover, let's say like 20 or 50% of the users in Web3, that would make us absolutely the largest platform for social data. And developers already have a huge incentive in Web2 era. For example, you see mobile applications always trying to request the access to query your local contact book, right? Your address book, to bootstrap that network. Because like that's a closed-start problem that they have always. Because like Facebook already banned their social graph database from third-party query, and basically you cannot get any social graph data to bootstrap a network. And we're helping them to solve this closed-start problem, starting from like almost nothing to right now like more than 15 million connections. The more data that we have, the more developers that we have, the faster we will grow. It's a pretty good dynamic, and we're getting there. We reached to this level within 6 months of time. I'm expecting us to cover at least like 20% plus users in the next probably like 1 or 2 years.
Incredible, Wilson. And yeah, that sounds like you guys are making good progress quickly. And I recently saw the announcement from CyberConnect about the Series A closing $15 million round with Animoca Brands and Sky9. That sounds like a great partnership, with Animoca. I would love to hear your insight on that closing of that round, and just the importance of the partners that you have, and with the raise in the bag, what are the next steps?
Yeah. So prior to this round, we already have like Multicoin led our previous round, and then Animoca was in our last round as well, but they wasn't the lead, and this time they become the lead investor because they see how valuable this network could be, and they are building a huge empire for gaming, and for games, social graph and the social element is so important, and we could become the infrastructure for connecting all those games. Like you could play in different games with. Right now, you are already able to bring your NFTs into different games, but in the future, with CyberConnect, you could play in different games with the same group of friends. That's going to change the whole gaming dynamic as well, and that's why they saw it. Oh, this could be a huge important network for us, and I'm so glad that we brought in some other partners into the round. We have Sky9 Capital. We have Delphi Digital, we have Protocol Labs, and GGB Capital, Tribe Capital. Those are pretty like long term, and industry wise, I think they're pretty on the top of the league. They have the expert. We are constantly talking to our investors for example, like improving our tokenomics. General, like getting more partners to on board to write data and read data from CyberConnect. So those are important partners, and it's a very selective group of investors. We rejected a whole bunch of others. So yeah, I'm very happy with what we got here.
That's great to hear, Wilson. And yeah, I completely agree. And you mentioned there about improving the tokenomics. I'd love to get some insights into how that works on CyberConnect with the token, and does it create a sustainable ecosystem, and is it a barrier to entry that it's needed to join into, or maybe creates a synergistic effect between the social graph? I'd love to know more.
Yeah, it's a very good question, but unfortunately, I'm not able to disclose too much details at this point. We're going to announce our official white paper very soon in the next couple of weeks, and then a lot of those details are going to be included in there.
That's totally fair. And okay, so we'll wait for that. And then, so as you continue to grow out with that raise close, as you mentioned, the white paper coming out and the token later down the road, what do you see as the main key factor to success in ensuring that the adoption rate of CyberConnect is constantly improving, and more people are joining into it and taking back sovereignty of their information faster?
I think that's somehow related to the whole industry as well. Like definitely. When we have social media platforms or anything like for example like forum or content like platform that's widely adopted by the users, and that would be the time when we actually reach to the era when CyberConnect could be a huge part of the infrastructure, because a lot of the infrastructure right now are just still focusing on DeFi, GameFi, pretty financial oriented, and for social to become a huge part of it. Our strategy right now is to work closely with a lot of the upcoming apps. We work with forums, we work with projects that work on ID. For example, Metaphoro is already integrated with us. They also provided the forum section for OpenDAO. And those things are powered by us. That means when you follow somebody on OpenDAO's forum or Metaphoro's forum, you're actually using CyberConnect as the infrastructure. And also some ID system and credential, for example, Project Galaxy, they're already using it in their ID system, and so many other applications. So I think the best strategy for CyberConnect to grow is to just stay really close with developers and help them to bootstrap their app, and that's like the what we have been doing in the last 6 months. And then also at the same time, we're building something pretty interesting that's what I just mentioned, like Link 3 Doc 2, that product could help us bootstrap as well. Those would be the two major strategy for growth.
Yeah, I like that, Wilson. And I feel like if you have a protocol that has end users, but there's no developers and no dApps, then that have that functionality, then it's not going to get very far. So I think focusing on the developers sounds like a key solution to helping it grow. Now, we don't have a lot of time, but first of all, are you guys looking specifically for more developers and partners to reach out and to start integrating with CyberConnect? And if so, what is the best way for them to learn more about CyberConnect?
Yeah, absolutely. We're hosting hackathons. We're talking to a lot of the projects. We have about 100 projects in our integration pipeline. And the best ways to learn about CyberConnect would be go to our website, cyberconnect.me. And also, if you're a developer, go to our dev center there. It has all the instructions and all the API and SDK that we provide. If you're providing, if you're creating an app, and you somehow want to know more about a user based on their social graph or interests, we have a whole bunch of data, including like CyberConnect also provides another data index for developers. It's a sort of like a recommendation engine to help user get recommended implicit connections based on on-chain and off-chain activities. Just check it out, cyberconnect.me, and then go to the dev center.
Sounds great, Wilson. I will leave the link in the description box below as well for the viewers.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for taking the time to come on. All the best with all things moving forward. I'm looking forward to seeing the release of that white paper, and would love to have you guys back on the show, when the next updates are available.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashton.